That's right, there is a heat wave going on in the UK right now, and I tried to record this in like normal clothes, but I thought I was gonna die, so we whip out the Sting vest, because Sting is one of the greatest wrestlers ever, and we still take the finger of power, and we do it for the latest episode of Ups and Downs, and thank goodness we are, because Impact Wrestling, man, they looked at Slammiversary and thought, well, everybody else is smashing out the park, we better do it too. Just you wait for this hot tamale. Let's up those downs. The first thing on Slammiversary was the Ultimate X match for the X Division title. I mean, talk about setting your station, raising the bar and saying to everybody else on the card, oh, you better come at us, because we have some big plans. And of course, it was champion Josh Alexander taking on Chris Bay, taking on Rohit Raju, taking on Pete Williams, taking on Ace Austin, and taking on Trey Miguel. And I swear, they came up with some spots here that maybe I've never seen in my entire life. Maybe we had one moment where Alexander was hanging off the cables above the ring, but he still managed to apply an ankle lock submission to Chris Bay. I mean, how does that even work? NASA was probably on the phone going, oh, space problem. And that doesn't make even any sense. We weren't in space. The same guys too, and Pete Williams, then did a super duper crazy Canadian destroyer using these cables while Chris Bay was sat on Josh Alexander's shoulders. And I honestly thought that Chris Bay was dead when he made impact with the mat, no pun intended. This must be the most ludicrous maneuver we have seen in 2021, and think of everything we have seen. These guys are crazy. Everybody deserves props though, and we even managed to get some comedy in here because Rohit Raju had like a massive stick and he was just trying to get the X Division title, because why the hell would he want to climb up there? Up there, as we saw, is very, very dangerous. They were just all flying off the top rope and the cables, again, because it is so dangerous, to end this before Josh Alexander was able to retain his title. Just give it a round of applause. This was tremendous pro wrestling, and every single one of these guys would smash it in any company in the world. That's how talented I think they are, and I'm giving it an up. Don Callis was being interviewed next, and he now hates Tommy Dreamer for making Sami Callihan versus Kenny Omega a no DQ match. But honestly, Don was on fire the entire evening, and just in case I do forget to say it, especially when he did do color commentary on that main event, he made me laugh out loud twice. A huge reason people were excited for this pay-per-view as well was because Scott D'Amore had gone, oh, we're gonna have a surprise, we are gonna have a big tease. So everyone was like, well, who are these mystery people gonna be? And in our second match of the evening, it was time to find out one of them. Let's go. Because it was Brian Myers and Tennille Dashwood taking on Matt Cardona and someone we didn't know who the hell it was going to be. But of course it was Chelsea Green. And I know I don't say that with the hyperbole that maybe it needs, but this made all the sense in the world given they are real life, we're in love with each other partners. And Chelsea Green had a terrific run with Impact Wrestling, sometimes walking the most obvious path is the ring to do, because it's the most obvious path. Green still has a cast on her arm, but we were told she would clear to wrestle, so we're either being worked or she just likes how it looked, but mostly I hope that she's okay. And this was just a really good, over-the-top, fun tag team match that kept giving you a wink and a nod to the past. Myers beat up his best friend, not best friend to begin with, and every time he tried to get the tag to Chelsea Green, Tennille Dashwood was running on the outside and pulling her off the apron. So those two actually work quite well together. What was really nice was the finish though, because again it rewarded you if you're a long-time watcher, because Dashwood tried to punch Matt Cardona right in the balls, and he may be the first pro wrestler in history that went, ha ha, I'm not a moron, because he was wearing a cup. If only someone had told AJ Styles this a few years ago. We then made sure we put Chelsea Green over as much as we could, because not only did she hit a destroyer on Brian Myers, but she hit the Unprettier onto Tennille, and she got the 1, 2, 3, and these two celebrated like, oh man, we're the best people ever. Honestly, I was just very entertained. We then had unexpected comedy next. I mean, who knew? Because it was W. Morrissey versus Eddie Edwards, and I couldn't help but chuckle because the size difference here was just so nuts. And this is just going to happen in a lot of W. Morrissey matches because he is so damn tall. I don't think you can teach that. But I wanted to share with you my thoughts. Eddie started this well too because he was using technique to try and take this giant down, but that really was the problem for him. As soon as W grabbed him, he just started to chuck him around the ring like he was a pillow. And you're like, ha, he's done for. This even happened when Eddie went for a dive and Morrissey just caught him out of midair and murdered his ass. And that kind of then segued into these count-out teases. So Eddie Edwards only got back in at like 9.999, but then we got W. Morrissey on the outside and we beat him up, so he only got back in at 9.999. I was like, thank goodness for that. I never actually really need a count-out finish ever. Wrestling tennis always works though, because it just makes you go ah, ee, ooh, ah, as you go with the momentum. So for everything they had done up to this point, I'm giving it up. And the reason I say that is because when it comes to the finish, well, it wasn't really for me. Because it actually seemed like Edwards had this one, so we got all ready to hit another Boston knee party when W. Morrissey grabbed the referee and basically used him like a human shield, and for some reason the ref thought this was fine. Eddie was still able to hit it, meaning W rolled onto the outside, and within his shoe or his boot, he had hidden a chain, so how big are his feet? And when Eddie Edwards came over to get him, he wrapped the chain around his fist and he punched Eddie Edwards right in the face. Now I get it was sold like the referee hadn't seen it, but come on now, you must have figured something had gone down. This wasn't bad at all, don't get me wrong, and W. Morrissey had to win here given his push, but it did kind of feel like one of those situations when Impact was like, well, we need to have W. Morrissey win, but I don't want Eddie Edwards to lose, so let's come up with shenanigans and let's come up with a big schmoz. And it ain't even really Impact's fault, but so many wrestling companies are doing this, it just gets old fast. So I guess I'm being a fuddy-duddy, but I'm allowed to, it's my show. Down. Moose was then cutting a promo and he promised that later on, he was going to murder Chris Sabin. And I thought to myself, he may actually do it. This led into our second tease of the evening though, because we had a video saying the Drama King was coming to Impact Wrestling, and there's only one Drama King in professional wrestling, and it's Aiden English, and that made me feel all warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. I was like, man, that guy deserves it, especially after that whole Rusev Day debacle. We really were sticking with these shocks too. Because Madman Fulton and Mahabali Shera out here, and they were so mad that they had been banned from the X Division match earlier, they were like, man, we're going to destroy everything and we don't care. So out came Scott D'Amore and said, well, it's great you are in the ring, because I have a couple of guys that won a match, and it was the return of Finn Juice to Impact, and I had a smile on my face. Do you want to know what happened as well? Finn Juice just wrecked these guys. Now, it was sold as the fact that Madman Fulton and Shera hate each other, so they couldn't get on the same page, whereas Finn Juice are like a super-duper tag team that love each other. But I think it went about a minute, and then they just pinned them, and they won. I was like, well, that was faboo, especially given what was going to happen during the main event, but we'll talk about it when we get there. Because first, I could not believe what happened. And I suppose, given my own words on Impact Ups and Downs that we did on Friday, I now have to shave my head, but I'm not going to do that because look at my luscious locks. But not in a million years did I think that Chris Sabin was ever going to beat Moose. And yeah, that's what happened. Chris Sabin defeated Moose. I mean, what the flub up. Because what rocked about this the most is that Impact Wrestling used the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up, in the way that it should be used. Small guy is struggling to beat big guy. Big guy is thinking, I'm going to rip this guy's head off. So as soon as small guy sees the opportunity, he busts out the surprise pin and he runs away all happy because he is the victor. And it makes me go, oh, because I didn't see it coming. That's the time. It also allows you to continue the feud. It gets people talking on social media. And you just know that Moose is going to be Impact World Champion eventually. But we need to keep him away from that scene. So what better way to continue this program on? And do not get me wrong either, because early on, Moose was absolutely running through this guy until he went, well, I'm going to go do a moonsault, and he missed. So Chris was like, I better get in there. So he did. Moose was also catching Sabin out of midair as well and just slamming him right into the floor, leaving Chris to have to roll out of the ring because he knew he was going to be screwed otherwise. And from there, it just built to this, oh my gosh, you didn't see it coming pin. But I'm all right with another Chris Sabin versus Moose match, and this acted as a surprise. Isn't it great when you're that nerd fan going, well, I 100% know who's going to win here, and then you get proved wrong because then for all the other matches as well, you start to doubt yourself. So this was really well executed. We then just had a nuts tag team title match, but also had another surprise. I mean, how many does Impact Wrestling have? But a few days before the pay-per-view, TJP said, oh no, I'm not going to be able to team with Father Bar. So Father Bar walked out here, said, don't worry about it. I have found someone to be my new best friend. And it is no way Jose. That guy is just perfect for Impact as well because the promotion is nuts half the time. But there's just something about this dude that I love. He's now called No Way, and I need that to be a punchline every time he cuts a promo. But he walked out and he had all the people with him and he was dancing and he was singing. And he was just so happy. It came out of the TV. We've talked about this before. It smacked me right in the face. And it was like magic dust. And then I was happy. I like being happy. So I No Way also did some comedy to start things off. The Good Brothers, they didn't appreciate this at all because they then got in there and started smacking everyone around. Of course, we also had the champions Violent by Design in this as well, but actually we gave No Way, don't call him Jose, his moment here because he was the dude that got the hot tag. But look, it was 4 tag teams in one match. You already know what went down. Oh, the tag made me laugh. The tag team klaxon sounded and everybody was in there just hitting their big moves. We got this great near fall after Joe Doring and absolutely spanked No Way, and I thought that was it, but it wasn't. And then just as Rhino was about to hit the gore, there was a hoopla. He got distracted. Gallows and Anderson tagged in. They hit the Magic Killer on the Man Beast. And this was another one that got me. The referee went 1. The referee went 2. The referee went 3. So the Good Brothers are your brand new tag team champions. And they beat the champions as well, because Rhino's part of Violent by Design, so nobody can even have a problem with it. I will say this didn't really have the crescendo you'd expect given that we were going to do a championship change, but this also ties into the end of the night, and it's 100% what Impact Wrestling had to do. So they were planting seeds here. When you plant seeds, you get it up. I was then just so pleased with what happened next. It was Deonna Purrazzo, our Impact Women's Champion, and she arrived to find out who her mystery opponent was going to be, and it was Thunder Rosa. Everybody was happy, so was I, and it's getting up. I mean, that's just such a good use of a surprise because no one's going to be mad about that, and these two just had a damn good wrestling match that had a finish that made me stand up and just start applauding. That's not true. I've completely made that up. Of course, I'm not going to do that in my own house. It would be really weird. But sometimes wrestling gets it right, and it makes me want to go yes. They wrestled at first before Deonna started working over Thunder Rosa's arm, because of course she wants to go for the Venus de Milo. But Thunder Rosa has come so far in 2021, she was like, I don't need one limb in order to wrestle. I'll use this limb and I'll use my legs. So she actually able to fight back, and she got some pretty damn good near falls. I will say though that as we did build towards our finish, this did kind of suffer from the same thing that our last match suffered from, because just as I was getting into it going, oh man, you got a good 5 minutes in this, Deonna Purrazzo hit the Queen's Gambit. I assumed that Thunder Rosa was going to kick out, and she didn't, and that was that. When all the dust had settled though, I thought this was absolutely brilliant, because Deonna Purrazzo now may be the strongest champion in all of wrestling. She is just beating people clean, left, right, and center because she is the best. Do I think any less of Thunder Rosa now? No, I don't. But do I think the world of Deonna Purrazzo? Yes, I do. A lot of people could be learning from this. I think we could have also done it as well because there was yet more fallout from this one, because Deonna Purrazzo got a microphone, and just as she was about to talk, Mickie James returned to Impact. She wanted to ask Deonna to come to the NWA Empower event that's happening soon, so my word, our worlds are just colliding again. And while Purrazzo was happy that she had been offered, she was also super pissed off. She's like, why are you coming in here after I've won and raining on my parade? This sparked a brawl with Mickie kicking her right in the face before she ran around the ring celebrating. So I suppose now on an NWA show, we are going to do Mickie James versus Deonna Purrazzo. That forbidden door is open, and I can't wait to walk through it. All of this did leave one final hitter to come out to bat, and it was Sami Callihan versus Kenny Omega for the Impact World title in a no DQ match. And I swear, even though I did see these things with my own eyes, I don't actually believe they happened. This was insane. I mean, Callihan hit the Cactus Special instantly to make you go, oh my gosh, he's going to beat Kenny Omega in 37 seconds, but he didn't. And when it didn't work, he just went and got every single weapon you could possibly imagine, including a fork. And he took that fork and he was gonna stab it right into Kenny Omega's head. And when it failed, he got a pizza cutter and started pizza cuttering Kenny Omega's face. And look, is Kenny Omega a pizza? The answer is no. The blood then started to pour because of course it did, and as soon as Callihan had missed a dive, Kenny Omega was all of a sudden using all of the weapons, including taking Sami Callihan's head and just donking it right into a chair. And then realizing that he did have some time, Kenny went and got the fork, and not only did he start prodding and putting, or whatever the hell you do, he put it in Sami Callihan's mouth and started to rip at his cheek. Man, this is too much for me. It's making me feel oogly boogly. And there was so much more here as well. I mean, we had pile drivers and foot stops through tables. We had power bombs through plywood. We had a barbed wire chair that people kept getting pile drove onto. That's not even the half of it either. That's not even the half of it. These two were basically trying to kill each other. Omega then went proper old school because I suppose he was panicking and threw powder into Sami Callihan's eyes. But because he couldn't see, he grabbed the referee and gave him a pile driver, which then led to even more shenanigans. It seemed like Kenny Omega was going to have the match won when another referee ran down there, but when he only got to 2, Kenny Omega just punched him right in the face, and I sat there and thought, well, where the hell are we going next then? I should have known. Because out came the Good Brothers to try and help their friend, but they were instantly stopped by Eddie Edwards and Chris Sabin, and that was really good because, of course, they want the Impact World title to come back to their promotion. When Sami Callihan went back under the ring, open your eyes, and he had a bag of thumbtacks. Don Callis freaked out, so he distracted Sami Callihan, which allowed Kenny Omega to get on the front foot. And while a lot of things did happen with the tacks here, I want to tell you about Kenny taking these pins, pushing them into his knee pad, and then hitting Callihan right in the head with a V-trigger. He then got more of them and made Sami Callihan swallow them, and I don't know whether that was real, I don't know whether that was fake, but they still went in his damn mouth. I didn't know what the hell was going on. All of this then led to Omega hitting the one-wing angel onto the thumbtacks to get the 1, 2, 3. And honestly, if you're going to do anything today, just go and watch this for the sheer effort alone. But also, it was flubbing great. And somehow we weren't done either, because when this was finished, all the lights went off because I'm a massive geek. I was like, oh, Malachi Black, before I remembered that I am being a moron. And of all the people to walk out from the back, it was New Japan Pro Wrestling's Jay White, and he had the Bullet Club logo. If you weren't really quiet, you could hear the internet melting down. But this got me so excited because I'm like, oh, Forbidden Door and Crossover Wars, or whatever the hell you want to call it. And while there was some odd production issues here, because it ended as still things were going on, apparently Impact did mean to do that, because if you go on social media, you can find out what did happen here, but all you really need to know is that Kenny Omega and the Elite stared off with Jay White. So are we going to do Bullet Club versus the Elite? I don't know, but that certainly was the tease. So if you do want to find out, you've got to tune into Impact on Friday. That is just brilliant. This is exactly what professional wrestling should be doing. So for the match and the aftermath and everything else, it doesn't just get an up, it's getting a golden up. But really, this was just one of Impact Wrestling's best pay-per-views for I don't know how long, but they said Slammiversary was going to smash it, and they arrived and they smashed. So overall, it is getting an easy up. If you want to watch it, my advice to you would be, do it. Also, if you have seen it, make sure you get in the comments below and let us know what you thought about the show. Maybe I'm over-egging it, or maybe I'm not egging it enough. You've got to let me know. Then please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Head over to whatculture.com where you can read yourself some wrestling articles. Make sure you come say hello on social media. And we got a bunch of ups and downs. Let me watch wrestling so you don't have to. My name is Simon for What Culture. Once again, I'm dying here because it's so hot. And if you have heard any weird sounds, I may have a fan right here just blowing into my face, but otherwise there was no way I was going to do this. But either way, I'll see you tomorrow when we up those downs for Money in the Bank. I don't think the week's surprises are over just yet. See ya.